If everybody wants to take a seat. Good evening. Thank you for joining the Roxbury PTA PTOs for the annual Meet the Candidates Night. I am Amber Martin, this year's Eisenhower Middle School's PTO president. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tonight's event will be live streamed thanks to Roxbury High School's Gale Vision and will be made available on the district's Facebook page and website tomorrow. This evening will be moderated by Joan Stern from the League of Women Voters. The evening will last about an hour and a half, and we'll try to get through as many questions as we can, and we'll now turn it over to Barbara Cuppersmith from the League of Women Voters.
Thank you to everybody. Good evening. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area, the Daily Record, which is part of the USA Today New Jersey Network, the Morristown Alumni Chapter Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and the Roxbury PTA PTO. I welcome you to our Roxbury Township Board of Education Forum. My name is Barbara Coopersmith, one of the co-presidents of the Morris area, and I'm also the chair of the Voter Services Committee. I'm just going to make a little plug. The Voter Services Committee, we organize all these debates. We also do all tabling events at festivals. We did one in Succassana one year, so that's what keeps me busy. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. Therefore, we never support or oppose political parties or candidates. Elections and voting are our core concerns, and we are empowering voters and defending democracy as our mission. We're committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions that candidates can take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. With 100 years of experience, the League is one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofit organizations. Membership in the League is open to all ages and gender identities. We welcome volunteers whether or not you are a member. I'd like to welcome our co-sponsors for this debate, Kim Monroe of the Morristown Alumni Chapter Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Monroe. I am the president of the Morristown Alumni Chapter Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is an organization of college-educated women committed to the constructive development of its members and to public service with a primary focus on the Black community. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a 501c7 nonpartisan organization and does not endorse candidates or political parties. We provide an extensive array of public service initiatives through our 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, physical and mental health, international awareness and involvement, and political awareness and involvement. Delta Sigma Theta was founded at Howard University in 1913 and has been committed to service through social action since our founding. Our 22 founders participated in the suffrage march of 1913, just 2 months after establishing the sorority, and our members have been at the forefront of social and political struggles ever since. As part of our political awareness and involvement thrust, the Morristown Alumni Chapter is engaged in voters registration, education, and mobilization in Morris, Sussex, Warren, and Huntington counties. We would like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to co-sponsor the Roxbury Township Board of Education Candidate Forum, along with the Daily Record, and we look forward to a healthy debate tonight with our candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Bill Westhoven, who's a reporter from the Daily Record, could not be here tonight, so I'm going to read a little bit. The Daily Record has covered Morris County since the year 1900 and is happy to join the League of Women Voters Morris area and the other co-sponsors in presenting this event. Bill wants to thank all of the candidates here for participating and helping voters in your town to make informed decisions at the ballot box. Please note the Daily Record will report on the campaign, but will not be publishing any Board of Education or municipal endorsements. So I thank our co-sponsors. Now we encourage everyone to go to vote411.org. It's a one-stop site for information on all aspects of voting in New Jersey. We have sent out invitations to all candidates at the local level throughout the country and asked them to answer, and so you can get some information, additional information about them. I also wanted to let you know we'll be hosting a debate of the Morris County Commissioners. They used to be the freeholders. They spend all your money. On Tuesday, 10/29, that will be live streamed on our League of Women Voters Morris area YouTube channel. Remember to make your vote count and vote in one of three ways. Vote by mail ballot, if you signed up for that. Early in-person voting and on a machine from October 26th to November 3rd. And in-person on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th. So just to let you know, this forum is being live streamed tonight on Roxbury High School's Gale Vision YouTube channel. After the forum, so tonight, tomorrow, you can view it on the Morris Area League of Women Voters YouTube channel and our website, as well as on the district's Facebook page and website, and on there, and I believe on the Gale Vision also. Other language captions will be available tomorrow on the League of Women Voters stream. Now for the small print. We encourage the sharing of the League's recording of this event in its entirety, but do not allow editing or making public any excerpts from the recording. The League name, logo, event recording, or any materials from the event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or reader to infer League support or opposition to a candidate. At this point, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Joan Sturm. Joan is a highly trained moderator. She is not from this voting district, and she will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening. Joan, going to do it? I'll do it after. Okay.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Barbara, from the League of Women Voters, our sponsors, and the Roxbury PTO for organizing the forum, and thanks for the audience that you came out tonight. We appreciate you having here, and of course, thanks to the candidates. I'm pleased to be with you tonight as your League of Women Voters moderator. My name is Joan Sturm, and we're here for the Meet the Candidates Forum, devoted to hearing the views of the candidates running for the Roxbury Board of Ed. As a courtesy to the candidates, please right now take this opportunity to turn off or at least silence your cell phones and your electronic devices and watches now. And I want to remind you that all photographs or any recordings, including on your phone, will not be allowed at this forum. So I'd like to ask that you all do that now. Now, voters have had an opportunity to submit their questions. The nearly 60 questions we received have been reviewed by the League and this evening's hosts and sponsors for clarity, length, and language. This is an effort to consolidate multiple questions on one topic into a single question. Not an easy task. Your single question may not be asked, but is represented by the breadth of the questions that we are asking. To ensure that the meeting is informative and finishes in the allotted time, if you are here in person and have a question, you need to write it on the specified question form provided and raise your hand where they will be collected and brought up for review to determine if there's not already one that's been addressed and we have time. Trust me, we have plenty of questions. But you feel free to do that up until they start their opening comments. The question should address only those issues that pertain to the office they are running for. Now for how the forum will be structured tonight. All the candidates are aware of this, so I'm letting the audience know how it's going to flow. Each candidate will have an opportunity for a 1.5-minute opening statement. Each candidate has drawn a number to determine the order that their opening and closing statements will be given. For the ease of the audience, we've asked them to sit alphabetically, strictly so you can identify who they are. But that order will not be used at all through this evening. I, the moderator, will then ask the candidates to answer a question submitted from the community. Questions have not been shared with the candidates in advance, except for this first one that I gave them just to get them comfortable with this evening. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. In order to ensure that each candidate has equal exposure and opportunity to respond first, middle, and last to questions, I've arranged a very sophisticated grid that rotates who is asked the question in what order. Therefore, with the exception of the first to answer each question, which I will let them know who that is, no candidate gets an advantage in anticipating their order of answering the questions. You'll see how it works. Basically, it keeps everyone on their toes. I will allow for rebuttals with a 30-second response by those candidates who are interested in making a rebuttal. However, if rebuttals cut into the limited time we have tonight for questions, I'll stop allowing rebuttals and save time for more of the community-submitted questions. Following the Q&A session, each candidate will then deliver a 1.5-minute closing statement. The timekeeper who's with us from the league, Diane Holland, holds up, and she's going to do it right now, a yellow sign she's showing you, which is for the 30-second warning. Just like at a street light, yellow means caution, and then a red light, which means stop. And we do follow the time limit strictly. So if someone is speaking, I'm going to ask them to finish their sentence, not a run-on sentence, not a full paragraph, and then they will be completed. I will need to interrupt them if they go beyond their time limit. Please, as an audience, after the candidate responds, that there's no discussion, no verbal reaction from the floor, so that we can move along in the allotted time and hear equally from each candidate, giving them each their due respect. We ask that you hold your applause and any comments until the end of the forum. Thank you, audience. As we start with opening comments, a reminder once again, please turn off your phones and silence your watches. Can everyone see me okay? Great, okay. So now we're going to start with the opening comments, and I will ask each candidate to indicate their opening comment. We've agreed that we're going to refer by first names, so if the candidate would like, they can say their full name, which is also shown on their nameplate, as it's going to be shown on the ballot. That's their choice. And the first one to go is going to be, and is the timer ready for a 1.5-minute opening statement, is going to be Kim. You may start, Kim.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kim Hopkins, and first I wanted to start by thanking the League of Women Voters and Ann and the Roxbury PTO for hosting and moderating tonight's debate. So I grew up in Roxbury, right here in Flanders, and after getting married, I moved back to Succossuna back in 2004, and my husband and I had been living on Uniburg Avenue, which actually is the property of my grandfather's grandfather's farm. So my family's been here for a long time. During COVID, my family moved back to Flanders, which is where I live now. For my work experience, I've worked in accounting for over 30 years now, with a property and facilities management focus for about 20 years, and I was in the insurance industry for more than 10 years. So becoming a parent had made me realize how important community involvement is. We're active members of Redeemer Lutheran Church, where I assist with the children's ministry and the music program there. I've spent a number of years being the den leader for Cub Scout Pack 159, and now I'm the treasurer and church representative for Troop 159. I am running today for the Board of Education because, well, I live here. I grew up here, and what happens in Roxbury schools matter to me. I realize that I have the skills from my work experience that is a perfect fit for the work that the Board of Education does. I bring moderation and balance to the board. I know that this is a position of service, not of power. I want every child in Roxbury to get the best education they can.
Thank you, Kim. Caitlin, opening comments.
I first want to let everyone know I'm not a great public speaker, but I'm working on it and I'll get there. My name is Caitlin Barba, and I have been a resident of Roxbury for 9 years. My husband and I have 2 young boys, and our older son just began kindergarten this year in the Roxbury School District. I have a diverse professional background that will prove to be beneficial while serving on the Board of Education. I earned my degree in literature with a minor in Spanish language studies from Ramapo College, and I hold elementary education and English K-12 certifications. I worked as a paraprofessional for several years, working with children with special needs, and I was a kindergarten teacher for 2 years. My experience as a teacher enables me to better understand and support the needs of our teachers, students, and parents. Then in 2015, I graduated from Eastwood College as an occupational therapy assistant and earned my certification through NVCOT. I worked in assisted living and skilled nursing facilities, and I found great joy in connecting with patients and their families, and I would pride myself on remaining committed to caring for them even throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. At this time, I'm fulfilling the most important job I've ever had as a full-time stay-at-home mom, caring for my children. If elected, my vision is to support our superintendent and teachers to ensure academic success and uphold the parental rights of all Roxbury families. I believe fostering positive relationships will lead to educational success and help all of our children thrive.
Thank you, Caitlin. Next, Dave. Caitlin, you might want to move the mic up just a little bit so people hear you better with your, move it closer to you for the next questions. And the timer can start now for Dave.
Good evening, everybody, and again, thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting us and the PTO and the PTA. Thank you, everybody here, for taking time out of your day to listen to us drone on about these questions, but I'm sure it's important to you just like it is to us. I was born over in Rockaway, New Jersey. I actually was born in Dover General. I grew up in Rockaway. Graduated from Morris Knowles in 2001, June of '01. Immediately enlisted for the Army right after that with a leave date of September 17th, 2001. When September 11th happened, I was actually outside doing yard work. My mom came in, told me to look at the TV. She handed me the phone and she says, you got to call your recruiter. You got to tell him you can't go. So I said, okay, I dialed the phone and I tell him, I'm all packed, I'm ready to go. If you want me, I'm ready. She's like, no, what are you doing? You know, obviously she was worried about me and my safety, as all mothers would be. I explained to her I'm not gonna run away when my country needed me most, and she regaled to me how that's kind of been who I am my entire life. From daycare all the way through high school, my teachers have told her how helpful I am, how willing to help I am, and that's just somebody who I am, core to my being. This is just another extension of that. I want to make this community the best it can be. I know I'll be a good asset on the board. I'm a good team player. I'll work with my fellow board members to make sure that everybody here gets a proper, well-rounded education. That's what we all want, and we want a timeless education that'll last. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dave. Myrna, next opening statement.
First of all, thank you, League of Women Voters, for moderating, the school's PTOs and PTAs for hosting, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority and the Daily Record for sponsoring. My name is Myrna Hernandez. I've been a resident of Roxbury for 12 years. My husband Aaron and I moved here because we were searching for a community with a place with a strong sense of community and a reputation for an excellent school system. I've been active in the community since moving in, first working through REACT with the Fenimore landfill issue. I've been a coach, a PTA member, and volunteer, den leader, and the committee chair for Cub Scouts PAC 159, which I'm very proud of. By education, I'm an attorney. I work in corporate litigation, and unlike what you see on TV, corporate litigators actually don't litigate very much. We don't fight. We actually listen, we think, we apply the laws and rules, and we work together for a compromise. I'm running because I have 2 small children in the schools, and I'm concerned about the recent cuts in state and federal aid, and that they will have a lasting impact on my children's education. I'm concerned that some of our best educators have left and will continue to leave if we don't focus on the important issues at hand. I believe I have the intelligence and the integrity to help our district ensure that our children receive excellent educations. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Myrna. Andrew, next.
Thank you to the League of Women's Voters for hosting this event, moderating it, and the PTO and PTA for bringing us together. My name is Andrew Schlam. I've been a resident of Roxbury since 2001. I currently reside over in Succasunna. My first home was in Lower Berkshire Valley with my 2 children, Leah and Liam. Leah is a 2024, this is this year, right? 2024 top 10 graduate, currently studying psychology at Rutgers in the honors program. She was in the honors Wind Symphony. She was a varsity soccer player. She was vice president of National Honor Society, and my son Liam is a rising freshman at the high school. He is interested in theater. This summer, and if you had been around, you might have gone to Broadway Bound's presentation of Shrek. He was Shrek, easy to identify, the big green monster. And I'm running because I'm a concerned parent. I think that public education overall is somewhat under attack. I think that to lose sight of the foundation of public education is dangerous. As a small business owner, specifically in project management, where I am tasked with balancing priorities and limited budgets and bringing very disparate stakeholders together to find solutions, I think I'm singularly suited to join the board and help the township. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Kathy, last to go.
Hi, my name is Kathy Purcell, and I'm running as an incumbent for the Roxbury Board of Education. My family moved to Succossana in 1993 with our 4 children, ages 5 to 0. All 4 started in Kennedy School, all but 1 graduated at Roxbury High School. At minimum, all 4 of my children have attained their master's degree. I was a clinical nurse specialist in the emergency department at University Hospital in Newark. I worked at UH for 40 years with multiple advanced roles. I currently am working as a hospice nurse post-retirement. My husband Fury worked in the Newark Police Department and retired as a lieutenant after 25 years. He is currently working for the Dover Police Department. As a parishioner, I am very active in St. Therese. I have taught religious education for many years and also active in our community social services. In the district, I have always been an active parent with the district and participated as often as I could, supporting as many programs as possible, which were many. As a Board of Ed member, I've attended 51 conferences, workshops, training courses since being first elected. I've been assigned to many committees as a board member, including I'm the chair of the personnel. I've been with education, facilities, and negotiations. I've been involved in 2 rounds of employee contract negotiations and successfully assisted in ratifying them. I am completing my goal of being a master board member next week after attending a workshop in Atlantic City. I was on hiring committee
Thank
for...
you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm done?
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you,
I did
Kathy.
a lot.
So now we will go into the questions. Thank you, everyone, for your opening comments. And Caitlin, you will be the first to answer the question that was shared with all of the candidates. And I will share it with the audience now. What is your vision for education in this community? What is your philosophy of a public education? Caitlin, 1 minute.
So I would say my vision for education in this community would be to continue to create an academically strong district here in Roxbury, while also supporting and growing our electives, trade programs, and special education programs, and also for preparing our children of now for the future, just as the portrait of a graduate that we have going on here in Roxbury already. So instilling things like leadership, critical thinking, et cetera, in order to help them be successful in life.
Thank you, Caitlin. Kathy, next to answer the question.
My vision for education in our community is to bring our district back to basics, focus on our academics, improve our reading and math proficiency. All important is to support our special ed programs, communicate with the educators. We need to trust our parents to decide what is appropriate for their own children. Public education affords all of our students to have equal opportunities to be successful. Retention of our students to stay within the school district for their education.
Thank you, Kathy. Kim, next to answer the question.
All right, so I'm going to go with our team slogan, education, respect, and growth. We want to help students meet the core educational goals and encourage them to discover what they want to learn more about. Learn about what you love. By demonstrating a community of respect in and out of the classroom, we encourage communication and discourage bullying. Sharing an environment of mutual respect and adapting to changing needs creates opportunities for growth for all of our students. And plus, Roxbury residents benefit as our town becomes a place where families want to stay.
Thank you, Kim. Dave, next to answer the question.
So my vision of this community is kind of what I touched on in my opening statement. I'm looking to do a well-rounded, transparent education that's going to set our children up for success in the real world. I think parents' rights are paramount to that. I believe a parent should be able to raise their children how they see fit and not let the school system and vis-a-vis the government tell your children how they should think, but rather how to think or how to learn. Really, the fundamentals of writing, reading, arithmetic are at the core of all of this. Supplementals are also amazing, and trades. I grew up in the trades, so I think that those are also valuable skills. We shouldn't cut those out of the system. And obviously, we got to maintain the budget.
Thank you, Dave. Myrna, next to answer the question.
Thank you. As a mom of 2 young children, I'd like for Roxbury schools to be known as forward-looking. I would like for our students to graduate with the tools they need to be successful adults, whether that means going to college and school beyond that, trade schools, or even directly into the workforce. Every student is different, and we must provide every student the opportunity to achieve the best version of themselves in order to be informed members of the community. I would like Roxbury to think about what the future jobs will be and prepare students for the possibilities of what will come in 20, 30 years when they are adults. Public education is meant to be inclusive for all, for the benefit of all. Thank you.
Thank you, Myrna. And Andrew, wrap up this question for us.
I think most importantly is to prepare our learners to be critical thinkers. When you travel down a slippery slope of exposing them only to one way of thinking or taking out marginalized opinions, that doesn't allow them to critically think. I absolutely respect parental rights to raising children in the way that you would like in your home, but that's why there is public education that is federally mandated. That is to prepare people post-12th grade to enter a trade, to continue their education, to be good digital citizens, to be productive members of society.
Thank you. Next question, the first to answer it will be Kathy. Both slates have taglines, slogans on their signs. Could you state your slogan and explain what your slogan means to you and what your slogan looks like in practice?
So our slogan is education first, and that officially means it's what I actually just had my conversation with. It's back to basics. It's focusing on academics. It's supporting special ed programs. I think our slogan is just perfect for what we need to be addressing as educators in this district.
Thank you, Kathy. Myrna, same question.
Thank you. Our slogan is education, respect, growth. And to me, that means as members of the Board of Ed, we are focused on achieving the greatest education possible for our students while we respect everybody in the district, all parents, all educators, and all students. And growth to me means that we have to keep up with the times. Roxbury is growing, and we have to meet the demands of a bigger population, but also the changing world and giving our students more access to newer technologies and ideas.
Thank you, Myrna. Dave, same question.
Education first. They go to school to learn. They go to school for education. Obviously, schools are not a place where bullying shared a car. It does happen. It's part of it. I do believe that the pillars of education, as I mentioned before, are paramount in this. They're going to school to learn how to read. They're going to school to learn how to write. They're going to school to learn how to think for themselves. And I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you, Dave. Kim, same question.
Okay, yes, going back to the education, respect, and growth. So obviously, like, we all think that education is the most important thing. We want our kids to be able to think. We want our kids to be able to get out of school and be able to be a creative and functional member of society. So the education, we want to make sure the kids are getting what they need. And in order to do that, we need to demonstrate and also instill the values of respect to our kids, showing that teachers and parents and administrators, we all work together for the same goal. And we think that will grow our community and grow our kids into the people that will help our community go down the future.
Thank you, Kim. Andrew, same question.
Education, community, and respect, respect and growth was originally community, got changed. I'm okay with that. So obviously, any basic skills to prepare you for knowledge and skills that are necessary to apply to a trade or to continue your educations. I think the respect component applies to working with people that may not look like you, that may not think like you, that may not learn like you, and to embrace that diversity, to be prepared to work with a world of people after 12th grade that does not look like you necessarily, think like you, and believe the same things you do. And in terms of growth, I think we need to be able to be prepared for the next evolution. We've seen, what technology has brought obviously to our world. Artificial intelligence is certainly the next stage of a massive technology leap. And I think we need to be teaching students how to employ using that appropriately as well. I think one of the last pieces, just going back to respect, is that it's a multi-directional. I was told to stop.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Caitlin, wrap up this question for us.
Okay, so education first, to me, is kind of going back to what Kathy said, more of a back-to-basics approach. Right now, 42% of students entering 4th grade are not reading at grade level, and that's greatly going to affect them moving on, like trying to read to learn, and it's a big problem. So I feel like we need to kind of hone in and try to get back to those basics so we're not, hurting our kids in the future. Just getting back to those, reading, math, what? And writing, yes. Thank you. Like I said, I'm not a great public speaker. Anyway, I would like that statistic to go up, basically is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, so you're seeing that some of our candidates may decide to do a little charades as part of this to help when someone forgets the word. That's okay. Be supportive of one another. The next question will be answered by Andrew first. How would you address the budget with recent funding cuts? What things would you consider essential? And what offerings or programs would you consider cutting? Timer ready? Okay, Andrew.
Thank you for the question. One of my main responsibilities as a project manager is balancing priorities. One of the tools that we use in balancing priorities is an acronym called Moscow. It means what are the things that you must have, what are the things that you should have, and what are the things that you could have, along with what you just can't afford. Obviously, anything that's a basic need to meet federally or state mandated guidelines, anything that is inclusive of all types of learning or special education are must needs. Then you start to look at what are the things we should do because they deliver considerable value. I would need to really fully understand the priority set and the direction of the township before I can answer that in detail at this moment. However, I think it's responsible enough to say that you have to approach that with an open conversation, willing to hear all perspectives, and looking for a solution that balances the limitations on the finances that you have.
Thank you, Andrew. Myrna, same to answer the question.
Thank you. I agree with Andrew. I think it's difficult to say exactly what to cut, what to keep in this stage of where we are. It's there's a lot of different things moving, but I think one of the things we can look at is investing some of the things that we can do better in order to improve our district. I think investing in special education is one of those things. If we spend more money, we spend a lot of money every year sending students to other districts for special education. I think if we improve our special education and the resources, we can stop sending that money out, but also that would improve our reputation as a community, which a lot of us know that our special education hasn't had a great reputation. More people will come to town. Our enrollment numbers will go up, and hopefully the state aid will go up in accordance to the way it should be. So I think focusing on investing in special education is one of the best ways that we can improve long-term our budget issues.
Thank you, Myrna. Caitlin, same question.
Would you mind repeating the question so I have all
Absolutely.
parts of it? Thank you.
How would you address the budget with recent funding cuts? What things would you consider essential, and what offerings or programs would you consider cutting?
Okay, I wouldn't be able to say at this point what I would cut or keep. I would love to look for alternate ways to fund, such as maybe looking into the Roxbury Education Foundation or any alternate ways where we can get funding for things. I think special education is extremely important, as Myrna said, to invest in, but that's really all I can say for right now.
Thank you, Caitlin. Dave, same question.
I actually have the benefit of going after two people who I agree with. So yes, I believe special education is very important. I also believe that without looking at the budget, seeing what's on there, I can't really make a call on what to cut. I will work very closely with my fellow board members. Obviously, we're not one-man shows, one-woman shows here. We work as a team, and I think that's going to be the strength of the board. I do believe strongly in amazing programs such as the aviation program. I think that's fantastic. It's something that we have that many other districts don't have. If we can leverage that to somehow get money, as Caitlin said, the Roxbury Education Fund, PTO events, more community events that raise money for our schools is also great. It helps bring us together as well as create some funding. And I think all those are wonderful ideas to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Dave. Kathy, same question.
I went the wrong way. So for the most part, I am agreeing with my team, but I have other information that I can essentially share, is that our BA has been amazing managing our money prior to us not receiving the funds that we should probably be receiving, and hopefully we'll be receiving them soon. Our schools are in excellent conditions. Our roofs are good. We have air conditioning in our school system. We are just working very hard trying to keep and manage our money. We never had to ask to raise taxes because I think our money is appropriately used in our district, and our BA has just been fantastic. He's looking out to other school districts to do busing for them. He just has a lot of information, and he uses it well.
Thank you, Kathy. Kim, finish up this round of questioning.
All right, so again, without knowing all the details of the budget yet, since I'm not on the board yet, I do think, again, the basics have to be covered. We need to make sure that the kids come back from the learning loss from COVID, and we need to get kids back on track for their graduation skills. So that's number one priority. And of course, the special education, any students with a 504 would really need to make sure their needs are met in terms of resources and staffing. That's the second priority. And from there, again, we need to get creative. So, can we expand some of these special programs that we have that can bring more students from out of district in where we could get some more income? That would be something to look at. The programs that Kathy was just talking about, they are getting creative. I love what I'm seeing in the board meetings. I love the fact that they're going to be putting solar panels on the roofs so that that'll be a cost savings to the district. That's great. Then there'll be, good money management is important. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. So Board of Ed meetings always include questions on the budget and finance, but the candidates should be relieved to know that we're done with those questions, and none of them will be applying to that. So now we get into the questions where we had multiple questions on the topics, and I'm sure our audience is eager to hear some of your answers on them. Myrna, you will be the first to answer the question. Here we go. How do you define parental rights in regards to public education, and if elected, how will you serve the interests of all students?
Thank you for that question. Parental rights, to me, is being involved in your children's education and having a right to know what they're being taught, and a right to being involved, such as attending board meetings, attending conferences with teachers, participating in PTA events, getting to know the teachers and the students. Can you ask, I'm sorry, the second
Sure,
part.
no problem. Stop the clock for a second. Okay, this is for everyone's benefit again.
Thank you.
How do you define parental rights in regards to public education? If elected, how will you serve the interests of all the students? Start the clock again. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a Board of Ed member, our job is to create policies. The policies that we create have to be in compliance with federal and state laws and applied equally among all students. I cannot tell educators how to educate. I cannot tell the superintendent how to do his job. I can only give them the guidance that within the law and within our ethics we are allowed to give. So I cannot tell you that I would stand up and tell you.
Thank you. Andrew, same question.
Can you repeat that question in full, please?
Sure. Stop the clock. How do you define parental rights in regards to public education? If elected, how will you serve the interests of all students? Start the clock.
Thank you for the question. So I'm not quite clear when parents didn't have rights, quite honestly. You always have the right to engage with your students' teachers, with the staff, with the administration if the teachers' solutions aren't sufficient. You always have the opportunity to engage with your Board of Education and ask questions and make recommendations. I think that we hire a superintendent to implement the vision that we set. We are not the teachers in the classrooms. We are not the hired experts that are engaging with the students. We have curriculum that is selected. They follow that curriculum. And as a parent, you're allowed to be as engaged as you want to be in conversation with your parents, with your teachers. Unfortunately, sometimes that may mean getting answers that you don't like. That doesn't mean that everybody has to have the same answers as you for education to be available for all. However, I do think that all parents have the right to, and I'll just leave you on that.
You can finish the sentence. Have the right to. You can finish your sentence.
What was I saying? Because I don't listen to
Oh,
myself.
okay.
I'll finish.
Good enough.
I was joking.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I think all parents have the right to express what their concerns are, to be heard, and if necessary, to work to find solutions that fit. And if they don't, accept the answers.
Thank you. Next to answer the question, Caitlin.
So parental rights to me just means that all parents have a right to raise their children the way that they want to. Nobody has to, like I don't have to agree with the way somebody else does it and vice versa. It's your children. You raise them the way that you want. And in terms of education, I feel like that just means just having transparency in all aspects of education. No surprises, respecting the way, the way that a parent wants to raise their child, keeping school about facts and not really infusing anybody's personal beliefs or ideology or anything like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Kathy, same question.
I find this question actually fairly interesting because right now, somebody had mentioned that parents can go to teachers at all times, but they were at a point preventing the teachers from going to the parents. And I think it has to go both ways, that the communication has to go between both the parents and the teachers to the parents. My other concern is that we are now focused on all the children. We can't use that statement that much anymore because it's not all about the children. It's about children are being obstructed by other children when they want to get their own ways in using bathrooms inappropriately, males being with female sports. It's not about all the children any longer. So that's my big concern, is we're kind of going in the wrong direction if that's where we're going to be going.
Thank you, Kathy. Kim, same question.
Okay. It takes a village, oh my goodness. So when I became a mom, I really, when my son started going to school, I have had such a great relationship with all of his teachers. Parental rights to me is kind of a parental responsibility. The teachers and the parents need to work together because, what happens in school doesn't end when the kid gets home, and what's going on at home doesn't end when the kid goes at school. So there's got to be teamwork involved. So I think it's very important that the administrators, the teachers, and the parents all work together to try and make sure the kid is being taken care of, getting what he needs, getting the education. And like Caitlin was saying too, I totally agree. The parents really need to direct how their kid is going to be, functioning in the world. But different parents can make different choices, and that's important to let, the parents decide for their own families what happens.
Thank you, Kim. Dave, wrap up this line of questioning.
All right, save the worst for last. All right. Obviously, I believe that parental rights are paramount in this. My focus will be on educational transparency, intellectual integrity, and re-earning parents' trust in the Roxbury public school system. I know parents' right to raise their children in a way they know to be best should never be overshadowed or undermined by broad, overreaching mandates, policies, or ideology. Curriculums and education should not be influenced by current times and should remain steadfast in the face of social instability, pressure, or other things. As Kathleen picked on as well, we got a lot going on in the world today, which is a little topsy-turvy. If you guys have a moment to look up the saga of Sage, that's something I'm trying to avoid in this world. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. So the next question is on a topic that is important in facing the district, and we had numerous questions on this. Kim, you'll be the first to answer. What meaningful and noticeable changes have occurred as a result of the repeal of Policy 5756 on LGBTQ+, transgender, and various gender-expressing students, and how has the repeal changed day-to-day practice at the schools? Kim, first to answer.
Okay, so I am certainly aware that had been repealed. I honestly do not know in active day-to-day life how it has changed the schools here. My understanding of that that mandate was originally set up to give guidance to teachers and administrators on how to deal with kids who had a gender difference than how they were born, and how to treat them with respect. So by repealing it, that takes away the guidance. I don't know how that's going to affect things long-term. I honestly, my kid's not in high school yet, and so I honestly don't know where that's going to go from there. But I think it's a shame that the guidance has been taken away.
Thank you, Kim. Dave, same question. Dave, same question. I'm sorry, what? I can't hear you. Can you put your speaker on? I wasn't hearing what you said. Okay.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, sure. Next time, make sure I didn't hear you. I didn't mean to make you repeat it 3 times. Okay, so timer, you can turn the timer off. Here is the question. What meaningful and noticeable changes have occurred as a result of the repeal of Policy 5756 on LGBTQ+, transgender, and various gender-expressing students, and how has the repeal changed day-to-day practice at the schools?
I don't know how the policy affected children immediately. I know it was only in practice for a few years. I actually was visiting the board members to make sure it was not enacted, so the fact that it was repealed. I think there should be serious consequences to anybody who picks on anybody who treats another human being other than how they want to be treated. That is the golden rule. That is something I instill in my family. That's something I instill in my children. Treat others the way you would like them to treat you. Do not bully, do not harass. If someone is different from you, you should not pick on them about that. Everyone should be protected under the law equally.
Thank you, Dave. Myrna, same question.
Thank you. I'm not an administrator, I'm not a teacher. I don't know on their part what the changes have been. I just know that at the Board of Ed meeting, when it was repealed, students said that they would feel less safe to talk to trusted adults. So I imagine some students have felt it, the repercussions of that. But again, I also imagine that teachers might not have the guidance that they need in a situation where they do have a student reach out to them, which I think is really unfortunate. And any organization needs a way to implement the rules and laws that they must follow.
Thank you. Caitlin, same question.
I agree with what Dave was saying, and I'm not in the schools seeing what's going on, so I really am not able to answer that question really fully.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Andrew, same question.
Thank you for the question. So we took a 47 or so page law, meaning not optional, that we wrote 3 pages worth of guidance so teachers would know how to interpret it. And by repealing that, we took away the 3 pages and the guidance. With that, we took away the dignity and respect of the community that depends on that guidance for their safety and for their inclusion in our community. In terms of anything meaningful, nothing in a positive way changed, other than a certain demographic feels like they had a victory.
Thank you, Andrew. Kathy, finish up this line of questioning.
Sure. So I'm not really privy to who it personally is affecting in the school district, but I do know that we have a duty to protect all children. No matter what the circumstance is, it is the responsibility of the school to make sure that every student is safe, and we can't just take specific groups of people and think that they're more important than anyone else who is having trouble in the home environment. As far as teachers having no guidance, I'm not really sure that these teachers have memorized the policy to begin with. They would have to go and look at it. So they also have people in the district that can help them to decide what decisions they should be making. And if they don't know what decision to make, then they shouldn't be making them.
Thank you, Kathy. Dave, next question. How will you, as a Board of Education member, respond to laws and mandates while adhering to the code of ethics that do not align with your religious, political, or personal beliefs? Please also discuss your view on opt-in versus opt-out.
Laws should be followed. Just laws should be followed. As I mentioned, I don't think people should be bullied or picked on. I also don't think boys should be in girls' bathrooms. I don't think boys should compete against women. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't protect them. They are obviously in a state of whatever it is where they need to be protected and guided as well. What was the next part of the question? Oh, my personal religious beliefs will only guide me as far as where someone else's rights start. My rights end where someone else's rights start. I'm not going to push my ideology on somebody, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to let my moral compass guide me to vote how I believe to be right. Again, I'm just one vote of many board members, so I feel I must vote my conscience, but that doesn't mean I'm going to disobey any laws.
Thank you, Dave. Kim, same question.
Okay, well, obviously, a board member has a strict, ethical duty to try and do, the best for the town, do the best for the community, take care of the kids. And, yeah, obviously, like Dave was saying, obviously, any laws we need to follow. My personal beliefs are that we need to come to consensus as a community. We need to talk to people. We need to, get a lot of different opinions, and then get past the fluff and get down to the root of the issue. And once we get to the root of the issue, I would like to think that as a board, we can make a consensus and come up with the best decision to help all the kids be safe and get a good education. And I prefer the opt-out as opposed to opt-in because usually there's less people opting out than opting in.
Thank you, Kim. Kathy, same question.
So Dave, I'm assuming that you were reading my mind as you were speaking, because most of what Dave had to say is exactly how I feel. Laws need to be accepted. You can't go against a law. But we were at a time told that it was a law when it was not a law, and we voted in the wrong direction at that time. Opting out versus opting in, I think people should be able to opt in, because contrary to what you're thinking, I'm thinking many children, if they were aware of what they were about to hear, their parents would want them to be opting in or out. Teachers have personally embarrassed some of the students to leave the classroom.
Thank you, Kathy. Andrew, same question.
Can you repeat it in full, please?
Absolutely. Can you stop the clock? How will you, as a Board of Ed member, respond to laws and mandates while adhering to the code of ethics that do not align with your religious, political, or personal beliefs? Please also discuss your view on opt-in versus opt-out.
That's one question?
It is. Because opt-in, opt-out can be an element of determining if the point of the question is, if you yourself have religious, political, or personal beliefs, do you believe that you should be able to, as board members, recommend that either opt-in is implemented or opt-out for certain curriculum or classes that fall under either state laws, mandates, or even just the code of ethics? So when those two things bump up against each other, do you lean more towards opt-in and opt-out, and what is your view overall on this? And I do see rebuttal will be coming to you later.
It's me?
No, you continue, I just was acknowledging.
Now I'm going to ask you to read the question again.
Absolutely, no problem. Don't start it yet, okay. But I want to make sure that the question that's being asked, you understand it, so I don't have a problem
I think I get it, it's
discussing it
just that
further.
it's like 3 questions.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, you know what? These were all multiple questions, so we rolled them all into
I
one
can
because they were
appreciate how
related.
difficult that
You
was,
can
yes.
imagine. 60 down to 10. Okay. How will you, as a Board of Ed member, respond to laws and mandates while adhering to the code of ethics that do not align with your religious, political, or personal beliefs? And please also discuss your view of opt-in versus opt-out.
I greatly appreciate you clarifying it.
Sure.
Thanks. So I think the first one has to do much with laws. They have to be followed. I think that's easy to answer, regardless of what my personal opinion is. If I want a law to be different, I would lobby Congress or, lobby our government down in is it Trenton? Trenton, yeah. In Trenton, but, that's not optional. In terms of my ethics, I happen to be of a Jewish faith. I'm not going to tell people they can't have a bacon cheeseburger because my faith says don't have bacon cheeseburgers. My personal beliefs do not override what is the best of students in a community. End of story.
Thank you.
Oh,
Did you want to talk
sorry, I have
about
more to my
opt-in?
story. Opt-out, period.
Opt-out is your philosophy. Great. Thank you, Andrew. Caitlin, same question.
I agree with what both Kathy and Dave have said. I just want to add that I would definitely be able to vote in, I guess you could say, a nonpartisan way and vote for what's best for student achievement and the students.
Thank you. Myrna, you can wrap up this line of questioning.
Thank you. For me, I'll tackle the opt-in, opt-out first. It's mandated by the state. If you want that to change, you lobby the assembly, you lobby down in Trenton. It is not the role of the Board of Ed to change state law. The last time the curriculum opt-out option was last year, 113 students opted out of over 3,000 students. It would be a logistical nightmare to chase down, the bus chase down that's going on right now is, I'm sure, a nightmare for the administration. Having to do that with over 3,000 students, it would be a lot of pressure on an already overburdened staff. I vote according to any oath that I take, as I always have as an attorney. You stick to your oath, and if you can't take it, then don't take the oath.
Thank you, Myrna. Next question. Caitlin, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. So now going to 30 seconds. Okay, so we'll give the timer a moment. Thanks for reminding me, Dave. And if anyone after Dave does his rebuttal would like to then further say a rebuttal or elaborate, feel free to do so. Just raise your hand and I'll mark it down. So we're ready to go. Dave, your rebuttal, 30 seconds.
So real quick, I just wanted to clarify on my opt-in versus opt-out. I'm sure you guys assumed that I'm for an opt-in rather than an opt-out. That's something I fought for when I went to the Board of Education 4 years ago to fight for this. I don't know if any of you are aware, but they're trying to teach sexual things to children as young as 2nd grade. I think that is completely inappropriate. I think there should be age appropriate, that the parent decides what's age appropriate and not what the school decides. So opt-in, I feel, is more paramount than opt-out, especially when you don't make it clear to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone have another further rebuttal on this question? Okay. Okay, next, Caitlin. I'm going to have the timer go back to 1 minute. The question is, it's a long question, so if you need me to repeat it or anyone needs me to throughout, let me know. It's the longest one of the ones remaining. So, okay? Okay. Would you feel comfortable opposing professional development recommendations that have been approved by the department head, principal, and superintendent? What do you think is the role of board members with regard to reviewing and approving professional development, and has it changed over the last year or so? Caitlin.
I don't have a problem approving continuing education that's approved as long as it's gone through the proper procedures and that it's for an academic reason, I guess you could say. What was the other part of the question?
What do you, stop for a second. What do you think is the role of the board members with regard to reviewing and approving professional development, and has it changed over the last year or so? Turn the timer back on.
I think part of the role of that is to make sure that it's in the budget as well, especially we've had the state cut our funds. I think they should make sure that it's relevant, it's academic, it's been approved, and that it can fit into the budget.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Caitlin. Kathy, next to answer the question.
Yeah, so I have absolutely no problem reviewing and approving professional education, but our board some people in our board actually kind of made some recommendations that the professional education and the development of what they were going to go to had to be a little bit more understandable to us as to what the reason was they were going for it, because there are red flags in this whole entire process, and we just want to know what the purpose is of what they're going for, because they shouldn't be going for educational reasons on the problems that are with the, I'm kind of losing my words, it's just going to these professional developments that are not appropriate to school and student education.
Okay, Kathy. Andrew, would you like to address the question?
Could you repeat the
Sure.
question, please?
Stop the clock. Would you feel comfortable opposing professional development recommendations that have been approved by the department head, principal, and superintendent? What do you think is the role of the board members with regard to reviewing and approving professional development, and has it changed over the last year or so?
Thank you for the question. So, department head, principal, superintendent have approved the training.
Correct.
A Board of Ed member has no role getting into the minutia of how to develop the staff that the superintendent recommends to hire. We set a vision. We hire a superintendent to engage the right resources and continue their development, make sure they're armed to be prepared in the classroom effectively. I think it becomes a question of, can we afford it at that level? Absolutely, we have to say, can we afford it? Do we think it's appropriate for them? That's not a question a board member should be answering. Again, department head said it was necessary, principal said it was necessary, and the superintendent said it was necessary.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll make note of that. Dave, next to answer that question.
So I actually agree very much with Andrew, and I do admit that I am unsure at the details of this, especially after Kathy bringing up her insight as an incumbent. I do have to say, anybody who's been paying attention to what our superintendent, Dr. Centura, has been doing will be thrilled. He's an amazing superintendent. I went to the Coffee and Conversation last night, which I think most of you should attend. He's bringing some really heavy hitters, some people that are experts and professionals in their respective fields. I trust his judgment as well as the board head and any principals. Obviously, if they're going to be approving these, then they've already vetted these, and it's not necessarily my role to squash that. I'm not going to rubber stamp anything, but I think it's definitely, if it's within the budget, I will go with what is paramount to the best for the community.
Thank you, Dave. Myrna, next to answer the question.
Thank you. Agree with Andrew. You have 3 layers of approval. The board, that's not the role of the board, again. And the budget issue, our teachers are not the best paid in the area. They are required to meet a certain number of professional development hours every 2 years. If we deny them that and they're not getting paid, they're not going to stay. And if we require them to submit some sort of, why do you want to take this course, it's an antagonism to teachers. And I think that's unfair, and if it's based on a board member's personal belief that something shouldn't be in school but has been approved by 3 layers, I think that's outside of the purview of the board.
Thank you, Myrna. Kim, last to answer these questions before we do rebuttal.
Like some other people have said, it's, not really the board's job to do the management of the teachers. It's just the board is here to oversee the management. And like Myrna was saying, the teachers have to get their continuing ed, so they need to go to training, and we need to be on top of things to help our kids. So that being said, if it was approved by the people who are running the school, then I don't see why there would need to be a concern about the opposing the training. But if there was a budgetary, issue, or, if there was some reason that I thought it was very inappropriate, I guess I would not be afraid to express a concern, but I'm having a hard time thinking of a situation where that would happen.
Thank you, Kim. Kathy, let me have her set the time for rebuttal. Let me remind people to turn off their microphones if they're not speaking, so if they do anything distracting, it doesn't affect the person who's speaking. And with that, are you ready, timer? Okay. Kathy, rebuttal.
So my rebuttal is educators should not be taking courses politically charged. And we have the opportunity to vote yes or no, which means to me, if I disagree, I can vote no. Because they are slipping in some courses that are politically charged, and I'm against it. And that's how I feel, and I'm going to vote no every time I can figure out what they're actually going to. If you want to be educated on that, take your own time out and get educated.
Thank you. Kathy, Myrna, you would like to say a rebuttal. Timer, you ready for rebuttal?
Yes, I'd like to note that there has been a dramatic increase in the number of no votes for continuing education since 2023. The board is a nonpartisan entity, so any judgment about what is political and what is not political is wrong for the board to express and wrong to vote on whether something is against the politics of somebody on the board. It is a nonpartisan body. And if you have 3 professionals who have said yes, the board should not say no.
Thank you. So I'm going to jump ahead to another question that's related to this since we're on the topic. So it is one of the questions, but I'm going to jump ahead and then we'll go back to the others. Myrna, you're the first to answer. Do you believe there is an increasing rate of resignations among teachers and staff? And if so, why do you believe this has been happening? And what would be your plan to resolve this or minimize it if you were elected?
I've looked at the numbers, and it's apparent that there are more resignations, especially this year over last year. Of course, there's always retirements, but I think there's a few issues, particularly to Roxbury. We don't pay at the rate that other areas do. There is obviously on the board a certain antagonism to teachers. If you don't approve teachers getting their continuing education, the teachers are going to feel the unfriendly environment. I think what we can do is continue to give them resources and continue to try to find a way to bring in more paraprofessionals. Teachers are stretched thin, and it's exhausting for them. Students with needs need more attention, and the teachers cannot do it by themselves. So we need to invest in teachers, and we need to give them the resources that will make them feel like they're valued part of the schools.
Thank you, Myrna. Dave, same question.
Unfortunately, unlike Myrna, I did not look into the retirement and/or resignation level of teachers. I wish I had. I know that we've had a couple of retirements. I'm not sure about resignations. I think teachers should be paid way more than they're being paid. I don't think that they're paid nearly enough for the important job that they do. I know a lot of teachers, and I know that they are usually dipping into their own pockets to buy school supplies and things like that. I think that's just a tragedy. No one sticks their pocket to buy something for their job. So I think we should pay them more. I agree we should have more paraprofessionals. And that's my answer.
Thank you. Kim, same question.
Yeah, I have become aware that there have been more teachers leaving in the last few years. From what I've been able to discern, the salaries are not as competitive as some of the neighboring districts. There was also a lot of COVID burnout. People during COVID it got to be, the teaching changed so much and got a lot more stressful, and that's become an issue. I know, and as teachers have been leaving, then the class sizes have been increasing, and there hasn't been as much paraprofessional support as there could be, and that puts more pressure on the teachers. So I can see that more teachers are leaving than had been before. So I think trying to address the salaries appropriately, trying to make sure they get the training that they need and the support they need is what we need to do.
Kim, thank you very much. Kathy, same question.
So, as I said in my opening statement, I've been involved in 2 rounds of employee contract negotiations, and we ratified them extremely quickly, probably quicker than any other time in Roxbury's history. And everyone was extremely happy with the selections that we made and the money that we offered them. Roxbury teachers aren't always just looking for money. They love taking care of the students. They love the Roxbury district. And there's so many other reasons that people are leaving. And we actually requested, after we wanted that to be questioned, that they have exit interviews. And we are now doing exit interviews, and it's up to the people that are leaving. They can either go to their principal or they can go to HR, and they can discuss what the problems are, and rarely is it any serious problems of why they're leaving this district.
Thank you, Kathy. Caitlin, same question.
I think Kathy and Dave covered most of what I would have said, and I think discovering why they're leaving is important so we can figure out what changes we can make to support them.
Thank you, Caitlin. Andrew, round out these questions.
Yeah, this one's particularly meaningful. I come from a family of educators. My mother's an educator, my significant other's an educator, I am an educator. We are not in it to get rich. It's not about the money. It's about respect. It's about being treated nicely, respectfully, with dignity. It's not about publicly disparaging teachers in just loathsome ways. And I can tell you that if you were to read about yourself in a negative light on a regular basis in your town's local Facebook groups, you may not want to show up for work either. It's not an easy job, and coming from a world of stakeholder management, you've got stakeholders' expectations ranging from every perspective. You've got to satisfy all of your bosses, the kids, their parents, the people that employ you. You don't need it from the community not supporting the teachers. I think that's a major reason why. I'll just leave everything on a cliffhanger for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. So we now have a few more questions. I had asked the candidates if they were willing to do a few more questions versus going to the closing comments. Great. So the next question is for
Excuse me.
Kathy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the next question is for Kathy. As a school board member, how would you ensure the needs of special education students are being met?
That's a great question, actually, because we were having some issues across the board with this particular subject. We have hired Dr. Santora, who has a great background in this special services. He has hired a brand-new director. We also have an assistant director that's arriving soon. They are going to be open to new programs, diligently working to fill aid positions, and retaining our students in our district is a very, very important reason so we can keep our students in the district. I think it's up to the parents to come and speak to this, to the problems that they're having, so everything gets improved, because Dr. Santora has opened it up to the public, and parents are not responding as well as they should. It was what they were looking for years ago, was communication. We now have communication, and people aren't showing up.
Thank you, Kathy. Kim, same question. Sure, stop the clock. As a school board member, how would you ensure the needs of special education students are being met? Start the clock.
All right, so being a mother of a special needs child, that is a very important question to me as well. So again, having good teachers and having the open communication between the teachers and the parents and the administrators is absolutely key. And in my personal experience, I have had, we've had wonderful experience with the teachers. They need to be supported. We need to have the paraprofessionals in the classroom on a full-time basis. Having a second adult in the classroom makes such a difference when you've got special needs kids. It helps to keep them focused. But yeah, I think I am very happy that we have a new director coming in for special services, so I'm looking forward to meeting her as well.
Thank you. Caitlin, same question.
I agree with a lot of what Kathy and Kim said, and as somebody who was a paraprofessional for several years, I know how important it is to have that support in the classroom. So that's just what I wanted to add to that.
Myrna, same question.
Thank you. I think one of the things that we have to make sure that the teachers are getting resources, which is not just a broad word, it means teaching materials, and it means aides and paraprofessionals to help them with the special needs students. As far as communicating with parents, parents are busy. A lot of them work 2 jobs. Expecting them to attend an evening program on random Wednesdays is not always going to be possible. I think communicating with parents means reaching out to them, translating some of the education speak they might not be able to understand, send newsletters. We get newsletters from our teachers in our schools. Something like that from the special education programs would be beneficial. I don't think putting the onus on the parents is fair, especially when most parents work very hard, and having a child with special education needs is exhausting for many of them.
Thank you. Andrew, same question.
Thanks. I don't think I can do better than Kim and Myrna in answering that, and I completely agree with what they said.
Great. Dave, round out this question.
Just to kind of clarify with what Myrna said, I don't think it's so much the parent's responsibility to show up to the events as much as he is inviting us to be a part of the solution, be a part of the whole system itself. As I mentioned before, in the meeting yesterday, he introduced us to the director and mentioned that there's going to be an assistant director. And after hearing her talk, after hearing her background and her goals, I think that we're in a very good spot as far as special education. I have the utmost confidence in her and what they're going to do, so I think it's a move in the right direction.
Thank you. 30 seconds for rebuttal. Myrna.
Just to clarify, I was in no way insulting the efforts of Dr. Santoro. I actually think they're great. What I am saying in general, and speaking to parents with special education kids, many don't even know there's a new director. The outreach just has to be particular and focused on them, I think, because there is a lot going on. So it's not a criticism of having events. It's a criticism of you can't say the parents aren't trying, so.
Thank you, Myrna. Last question, and we'll start with Kim. Do you support teaching social emotional learning in the curriculum in our schools? Why or why not?
Yes, I think that social and emotional learning is a benefit, teaching it in the classroom, because that supports what the parents are trying to teach at home as well. You know, like I said, the kid's life does not, you know, start and end with the classroom, and there has been, I think the social emotional learning is really important to, especially with the young kids, to help them understand how to process their feelings and how to know what kind of state that they're in so they can make better decisions for themselves. I think that the social emotional learning will help to prevent bullying further down the road if they can make connections with other kids and understand that other kids have feelings as well.
Thank you. Dave, next to answer the question.
All right, here we go. Personally, I believe social emotional learning is a double-edged sword. I thoroughly believe in emotional intelligence. We should definitely be teaching our children how to regulate their emotions and how to treat others with respect. I also believe that if you have a chart and it's happy, sad, mad, oh, you feel good? You're happy today? Okay, good. Oh, you feel sad? Oh, let's talk about that. Let's break that down. Let's give you a lot more attention now that you're feeling sad. The only thing you give attention to, you're gonna get more of. I feel that should be in the back of people's minds that we are teaching our children how to regulate their own emotions, but at the same time, we're not trying to get them to focus on the negative emotions, because good emotions are good. Okay, good, move on. I think it's a slippery slope, and I think it needs to be heavily regulated to make sure it doesn't go in the wrong direction.
Thank you, Dave. Myrna, same question.
Thank you. The role of social emotional learning, as I've seen it applied in my children's classroom, is helping them regulate their emotions, helping them communicate with each other, with the teacher, learn respect for themselves, learn respect for their classmates, learn respect for their community. It also helps them be resilient. Not everybody comes to school having a good day. Are they going to learn and be disruptive that day because they're not having a good day? Possibly. In a classroom with 22 kids, can a teacher focus solely on one student? No, but if you give them the tools once a week, like my kindergarten daughter gets, they can learn how to apply that throughout their life. So it's not about that one child, that one day. It's about teaching all of them how to apply that throughout their life.
Thank you. Myrna. Caitlin, same question.
I have not taken a look at the full SEL curriculum, but I do believe it's important to reinforce things like kindness, empathy, respect, and sharing, like my son is learning in kindergarten. But in terms of the actual SEL curriculum, I haven't looked into it enough to give a full opinion on that. But I do think that those traits are very important to instill in the classroom as the teachers are teaching.
Thank you, Caitlin. Andrew.
Thank you for the question. So I think there's a marked, noticeable difference in civility with an absence of SEL training. SEL training helps bridge the gap in dealing with some issues that are very difficult to verbalize, but not only within oneself, how to engage and see or prepare for what you might see in others. I can tell you as an adult educator, Dave mentioned emotional intelligence. That's actually one of the core components of classes that I teach for building effective teams and strong leaders. And I ask at the end of every single one of the classes I teach to adults if they feel they would have benefited from more of a focus on how to regulate one's own emotions, understand cues from others, and adapt to challenging environments when they were kids rather than being thrown into the world perhaps unprepared to do so. And I've yet to hear from anyone that says they don't think that,
Thank
cliffhanger
you.
for you again.
Did you want to finish the sentence? Yet to think
It's not
that...
fair, everybody else hasn't been.
No, you can finish your sentence. You were in the middle of a sentence, so... I
Yeah,
forget
that
the
would be
beginning
great.
part of it, but you said...
You already forgot what I said?
No, I could, something, but you were in the middle. You don't have to cut off your sentence if you want to finish the sentence with what the thought was.
That would be
But-
fabulous.
okay.
The gist of it was that I have yet to have an adult learner say that they would not have benefited being placed in the workforce with a diverse set of people, having been able to regulate themselves and understand how to work with others in grade school.
Thank you. Kathy, final one to answer our final questions before closing comments.
So I am not a fully enthusiastic person to the extreme of social emotional learning. I think it's important for especially the younger students if they're having trouble with their emotions, and it will move on towards the other ages. But I think a lot of that is the parents' issue. And I think if there's any problems that are ensuing, some of it could be handled with other people and not always in a classroom with students and all hearing all the easy ways to get out of feeling poorly and badly. Some people some people being tougher than others is probably easier than other people who are very emotional, but I don't like the extreme of any behavior being addressed during school.
Thank you, Kathy. So we have now finished our questions, and we will now be moving to the 1.5-minute closing comments of each of our candidates. Since the entire evening I've been referring to you by your first name, I would just ask that as part of your closing comments, that you just state your full name as it will appear on the ballot, so everyone knows that, since they didn't hear me refer to it throughout the whole night. And we're going to start with you, Kathy.
So in closing, my name is Kathy Purcell. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, Lincoln Roosevelt and EMS PTO, and also Franklin Jefferson, Dixon, and Kennedy Schools PTA for sponsoring the Meet the Candidates night. I hope I was able to convince many of you that my main goal is to focus on our students' academics, continue to respect the parents' rights to be in full control of raising their children, and trust the administrators' expertise to run the district to the best of their ability. We need to get back to basics and leave politics out of the schools. Please understand, we are not here to run the schools, but we are here to make sure the district is run well. Thank you. Please vote for the bottom three, numbers 4, 5, and 6, and good night. Purcell, Faulkner, and Barba.
Thank you, Kathy. Andrew.
Thank you. So I am Andrew Schlam. Thank you for coming to try to meet the candidates in these minute-and-a-half sound bites and 30-second answers, which I think is a near impossibility. I have a proven track record as a business owner for the last 20 years, bringing people together with disparate views, having direct and open conversations, and in a fruitful way, looking for solutions to those that satisfy all needs. I don't think that any perspective should be shut off or put out. I think that the idea of thinking, if I just close my eyes and shut my ears, what I don't like to hear will go away is not going to happen. So the sooner that we can start talking openly about the issues that we face, the sooner we can come to find those solutions. I really do think that the idea of getting to know us is very difficult in this setting. I can tell you that I know that for myself and for Myrna and for Kim, we would welcome questions on our campaign page. Be happy to answer those if you have additional questions after this night. Please vote for Roxbury's top three, Myrna, Andrew, and Kim. Thank you for this evening.
Thank you, Andrew. Myrna, next with closing comments.
First of all, thank you all for attending or watching at home. As a parent of young children, I'm concerned about the seeming antagonism to teachers, our education system, and our curriculum that the board has expressed. The Board of Education needs members who are willing to look past distractions and personal agendas and work with the administration in setting goals to prioritize our children's education. The board does not run the district. Its role is to ensure the necessary policies are in place for the district to fulfill its mission of education. Board members must be willing to educate themselves and the public on these policies without interference from personal agendas. I hope to bring a sensible, rational voice to the board. My focus is on supporting the district and the students, the parents, and the educators that are the heart of our schools. I encourage you to reach out, as Andrew said, and please vote for Hopkins, Schlamm, Hernandez, the top 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, closing comments.
Thank you again to everybody who is here and who is watching and who cares about their children's education. Kathy, can I borrow your closing statements and just copy that? No, seriously. My focus, if elected, will be on ensuring the education of our children through the education they receive will be timeless, honest, and adherent to the pillars that are honest, that are paramount to developing bright minds that think freely, competently, and with knowledge proving of a thorough, well-rounded education. I'll work with my fellow board members to maybe revisit the new curriculum and ensure parents' rights are being fully upheld and protected. I will also work to enact an opt-in rather than the current opt-out option for any program or topic that could be viewed as controversial or may go against the affirmation rights of parents to decide what is age-appropriate for their own children. As a combat veteran, I will fight to do this, as I do all things, with integrity, passion, and reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Caitlin.
Okay, so I'm Caitlin Barba. I would just like to thank everybody who worked hard in making tonight possible. I feel truly honored and blessed to be a part of this process. Roxbury Township, I humbly ask for your support. If elected, I will work hard to ensure safety in our schools, manage our budget in a way that is fiscally responsible yet benefits all of our children, and I will work hard to support our superintendent and staff in order to make our district the best that it can be for our children. I believe that because of my diverse work experience, I bring a unique perspective and would be an asset to this Board of Education. As a board member, I can use what I've learned as an educator to partner effectively with administrators, teachers, and parents while working towards fostering student achievement. My experience as an occupational therapy assistant can be useful in making decisions regarding our special education programs. As a mother of 2 young children, I will always value everyone's parental rights, and I will work effortlessly to foster positive relationships and communication between parents, administrators, and faculty. I will always treat others with respect, and my integrity will always remain intact. Please choose education first and vote bottom 3 on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. And to round out and complete the closing comments, Kim.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and everybody who's paying attention online. It really means a lot that this matters to you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and the PTO and all the sponsors. Appreciate it. As I said earlier, I have the professional accounting and property management experience that the board values to oversee our schools, and I have the problem-solving skills and moderate values that the board needs. I grew up here, and I came back here to raise my family. I value our community just like you do. I've seen Roxbury go through many changes over the years, and I want it to be the best place it can be. I understand as a parent, much more so than I was when I was a student, how important it is to learn to think and to communicate. I want to support our schools in giving our children the foundations that they need to flourish. That is done with growth through education that adapts to changing needs and is always rooted in respect. So please remember to vote for Kim Hopkins, Andrew Schlamm, and Myrna Hernandez. Vote lines 1, 2, 3 for BOE. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Kim. Before I turn over the podium to Barbara, I'd like to just do a few really important thank yous. First of all, to the community for supplying nearly 60 questions that we went through to pull out the 10 most salient that summarize them. So credit to the community. Second, thank you for the very polite audience who really gave everyone a chance to speak and let the evening flow through nicely. And thank you for coming, and I'm sure the Board of Ed members would love to have you come to many of their meetings. So thank you there. Thank you to the PTA and PTO and the sponsors who worked with me on going through the questions. And I'd like to just speak to a moment about the candidates. And I know that a few of you mentioned how hard it was to not only do your opening and closing comments in a minute and a half, but to answer really tough, meaningful, in-depth questions in a minute. And I want to let you know, as an outsider standing here listening, I really think you did give the community a sense of what was important to you and how you felt. And with that, if the audience agrees with me, now is a time to give a round of applause to the candidates who did an outstanding job. I want to let you know it was a delight being with you here tonight, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be your League of Women Voters moderator. And with that, I'd like to turn over the podium, not to Barbara, I'm sorry, to our PTA, PTO organizer.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, candidates, for being willing to be a part of this democratic process, and thank you to Joan Sturm and the League of Women Voters, Morris Area, for partnering for this forum, and thank you, candidates, for your participation tonight to let the voters know where you stand on issues that are important to them. I would like to thank the audience for joining us tonight and to those watching online. And I also want to say a special thank you to Ann Rhodes for her immense dedication to this district and helping out with everything that had to do with Meet the Candidates tonight. We appreciate you 100%. Yeah, that's worth it. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, it's important to remind you to vote. There are 3 ways to vote this year: by mail, early voting from October 26th through November 3rd, and in-person on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 5th. A great election resource is vote411.org, which provides reliable, nonpartisan information in both English and Spanish, including candidate guides, voter registration and verification, and details about your unique ballot. On behalf of the Roxbury parent-teacher organizations, we encourage you to cast your ballot not just for the Board of Education, but for all the positions in this year's general election. Don't forget, as I said before, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Make your voice heard and do not forget to vote. Thank you again, and have a great night and drive home safely. Thank you.